Okay, we're live on Facebook, live on YouTube. All systems go. I'm going to put on our intro real quick and let people come in, give people time to come in, and so I can share to the network. And we'll be back in about a minute and a half with our beloved sister, Amanda Lorence. How's it going, everybody? Got Amanda Lorence in the house with us today, this morning, and Judith Cassell and Mary Rodwell later today. So let's get Amanda up here, my beloved sister. I wanted to talk to her before we went on, but it's been crazy. Let me see here. There we go. 28 people in the Zoom room. Welcome, everybody. And that ought to do it. Got about 100 people on Facebook, 10 people on YouTube. Welcome, everybody. Ask to start video. Okay. Okay. Unmute. Unmuted. Okay. What's up?
Oh, am I here?
Yeah, you're here. Yeah, don't do what I do. I'm in here doing private stuff, and I forget I'm on screen. I forget to turn it off, and I'm cursing over here because my refrigerator went out. God, this electronics, and well, you look great. I love you. You look really good. I know you. I know there's been a lot of stuff going on. I've been going through it. I don't even have. All I got to do is look in the energetic field and see you. I guess because we're like brother and sister. I don't know what's up with that. I was even traveling through Inner Earth the other day, and I came up on this person, and they turned around, and it was you.
Really?
Yeah.
What was I doing? What was I doing?
I don't know. You know, ever since as long as I can remember, but certainly since I woke up, 2011, I always had these visions, like movies of going through these, I don't know what you call them, the whatever in the inner earth, like, whatever you walk through, caves or whatever they are, tunnels, there we go. So I always have this thing about going through the tunnels, and it's so familiar, like it freaks me out. It's so familiar. And so then, I don't know, it was about 2 or 3 days ago, I just started having one of those. I don't get them all the time anymore. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. And then I came up on this person who had like it's dark, there's torches, and this person had like a cloak on, like a dark brown cloak with the hood over. And I kind of came up behind her, and then she turned, and it was you. And I was like, whoa. But it's been crazy lately. It's been crazy. Two days ago, which would have been what, the 12th? Yeah, the Sunday. I guess it was God, what is today? Thursday. Tuesday I was supposed to do 3 shows. I didn't do a show. Nothing went right. Anything that got planned got canceled. I put up a couple posts. Morgan put up a post, and all these people were talking about the same thing. Electronics, plans, and just total up and down, up and down. So, yeah, I figured you might not show up because I know you feel it
But
before.
yeah,
You're like Morgan. You feel it before everybody else does. So, how you been? Besides that,
yeah. I mean, it was when Morgan asked me on. I was like, I knew there was something going on, but it was about 4 days before, and I thought, I'm not sure. I'm not, and I didn't know why. And I've had to just play it day by day
yeah,
because of the energies that came in. I can't even remember what day it is, but I think it was 2 days ago. The
mm-hmm.
energies came in the evening here, and I was relieved. I was like, thank God this is coming in, because whenever we're about to go through a huge shift, my body reacts in a certain way about 12-24 hours before the shift happens.
Yeah.
And so when the energy started to come in, that's what I was grateful for. And then it takes about 3 days to integrate that energy. So we're in integration stage
Yeah.
of this massive energetic that's been given to the whole. And it's still got to play out. We've still got to understand, let it unfold within us what it means to each of us. I did start to get data yesterday, but it was just bits and pieces, which is beautiful. I love it when that happens,
Yeah.
but it's not the whole picture of what we're in the middle of right now. It's huge. It
I
really
know it
is,
is.
and everyone's in it differently, obviously, but it's huge for everybody. It's
Yeah, it
massive.
is. Yeah, it
Yeah.
really is. It really, really is. Like, I mean, so what is it? The 14th? It's the 14th of the month. I mean, it's weird because it's like, okay, because everything follows the collective, right? So I'm with someone like you know that. So I see it come in, and like Tuesday, I mean, I got up Tuesday morning, the day we're talking about, and she said she did something. I asked her about it. She said something to me. I did something. Anyway, the energy was like that, right? Like we didn't say anything bad to each other or anything. It was just a little thing, right? Well, I knew immediately, go in the RV. Just go in the RV, take the supplies you need because you're going in there for a while. And nothing about her, nothing about me. It was just, I knew I needed to do that. And that's what I did all day. And Merlin came in the night before that. He came in on Monday night. And then all day Tuesday, he was with me all day. I was by myself. I couldn't do any shows. I just, I just kind of communed with him and got some information in and stuff. But you know what I noticed about this one? It came in, like you said, you could feel the body, like the physical body. People were talking about it. I felt it. Morgan felt it. Like the physical body going through a physical transformation, an undeniable
Yeah.
physical transformation, parts of the body. And then it was like the higher self like came in. This is how I experienced it. And it kind of came in and said, okay, I'm here. Now we're just waiting on the human being.
Yeah.
So, and I'm with
I was,
you. I'm still
I was,
trying to get
and
used to it.
I was getting, during these last few days, which is when we were all sort of realizing something was going on and we didn't know what, and then it came and now we're integrating it. But each day it's shouting at me this phrase, which is my guidance, and that
Mm,
is, be the inner child in all moments. So in other words, I
yeah.
don't need to go into the thought mode and of what is this. Just play, just
Yeah.
just be that inner child of joy, that innocent
Yeah.
one, and be in the present moment. Have fun with yourself, because truthfully, we're getting wise to the energies as we
Yeah.
go. We're starting to learn more. Everybody is. They're really feeling them. They're starting to understand what they mean for them as we go. But we do have to let it unfold.
Yeah.
And integrate into our physical cells. I mean, my cells, when that incoming wave came in the other night, every single cell was spinning. So there wasn't a part of my body that wasn't vibrating. And it's a lot for us as solid forms to integrate. And all it is energy we don't understand. So, you know, when we think we might go into anxiety or stress or all of this, it's with the energies coming in, just remember it's energy that we haven't yet integrated. So we can try and define it compared to our storyline and our dream of, oh, I'm feeling this because of this. But actually, no, it's just energy, and you just need to allow it. And be the child. And Gaia is so supportive at the moment. Well, she is anyway, but she's just there to hold you, to love you through it. Just go out there, get some fresh air, get your feet on the ground, and you'll feel stronger for it.
Absolutely. But you're right about that too. It's like, on one hand, I feel, I never finished my statement, so because I'm still trying to like get a line this morning, because last night was extremely powerful. It was so powerful I almost threw up. And it involved Morgan, but the higher self came in, and it was just like this merging, and it's occurred before, but not as much as it did last night. What was happening last night, all this information was coming in, and it was all kind of about the goddess frequency. It was very, very, and I don't have my arms around it, but so I got up today, and you know, I was going to grab a little bite, and the fridge in the RV went out. So I started going to that human, like, oh man, you know, what's going on? And at the same time, we're heading out into the month. We're going to go back to Arkansas. We're going to start working on the network again. So there's this part of me that's like, oh, wow, man, everything is aligning. This person, that person, all these things, everybody's lives are aligning. And then there's like a soul tribe alignment, or a, you know what I mean? So there's a part of me that's going, wow, this is just perfect. Just sit back, stay in the Peter Pan mode. And then there's another part of me that's like going, oh, wait, what is going on? Why am I getting upset that the refrigerator went out? What is happening? You know, so there's a part of me that's kind of like out of whack. And then there's another part of me that's really calm and cool. And then the other thing is the body. Like you said about the cells, I can feel all my cells just like, you know, and it comes and goes.
We're like
so it's like it's like three consciousnesses in one. Go ahead.
It's a lot. And you know, it's also I have a lot of compassion for every single human being on the planet, every single one, because everybody is receiving this, and how a person manages and copes with it, you know, it's not easy for people, and some people can't cope with it as easily. But to be in the child mode, remember, being the child that just lived in wonder and happiness and simplicity of liking being in the present moment. But then we can dip into what we call our adult, which isn't actually an adult. You know, we're children of the universe, but we can dip into our adult and then get a bit serious and start to think too much. But it's just like, no, come on, come out of that, step out of the dream. Because when you're playing at being the adult, you're actually immersed in the dream, in seriousness, trying to work things out. And that's when all the emotions come in. But if you go back to being the child, not the one that was hurt, the one that was innocent, and be in that mode, it's an easier ride. So much easier.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that should be easy for me.
The goddess, you know, the goddess energies. I have different sort of terminologies and stuff, but it's the same. It is the you know, it's the start of the golden era. It is the divine feminine coming into the empowerment that we've waited for, and the divine masculine will follow.
Yes.
They're there as well, and they're in sort of still in healing mode, but they're going to be following. It's a magnificent, this is what we've waited for. It's just amazing, because if we look at sort of the patriarchal system, that was based really on the small brain, the ego, taking control over, you know, the planet and itself and society, etc. And then if we go back further, we had the matriarchal system, but that was ego based. This is the first time. This is what's amazing, is it's the first time that the divine feminine is able, we're just in it. It started, Todd. It literally has. It's here, and it will just escalate and escalate. But it's the point where the divine feminine has reached that they've cleared and balanced the, well, not cleared the cardinal points, but they've balanced the cardinal points, meaning we're solid. We're solid matter. So the influence on each one of us, every human, is the earth, the fire, the water, and the air. But they've been imbalanced. And this has been my path, has been, you know, we all get shown different ways of our ascension. We're all on our own influence, but the influence that's been brought to me through visions and dreams has been about the 4 cardinal points, which is why I wear this and chopped off the elongated cross, because the balance, that's the truth. Because once you've balanced the air, the water, the fire, and the earth, you're able to be in that center point, in that neutrality. But more, what happens is you're able to stand in your own energetic field, and that is your sovereignty. Nobody owns it, nobody controls it, it's yours. And so this is the first time that the divine feminine is stepping into that balance. It's not ego control, it's the balance and the integration of these forms we call the fire, the water, the air, and the earth. And when they're imbalanced, you can actually speak from your truth in a balanced manner, in a responsible manner. And that is the emergence of the divine feminine. It's something to celebrate for the whole of the planet, and more and more and more will come into that as well. And then the divine masculine, exactly the same will happen.
Yeah. And you know what? You got the exact same. And this is what I was saying, because we got to the weekend. That's why we hit you up. We got to the weekend and we're like, what's going on? Look at all these powerful divine feminines coming on next week. And it was like, boom, 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 boom. So then Morgan's like, okay, something's going on. So then the weekend happened. Monday, I had Franco and a couple of, and so then Tuesday happened. So then yesterday I had 4 shows, but I didn't know I had this first show because I didn't look at the schedule clear enough. And so right after the show's supposed to start, this really cool lady named Gabrielle Walter, she lives in Scotland, but she's from Germany. So she has that German broken English accent, you know, it's really cute. I never met her. So I'm like, oh, okay, well, let me reach out to her. So we hurry up, 30 minutes late, we get on. I didn't even like say, hey, how you doing? I just said, what the hell's going on? And she was so funny. It's like the greatest line ever in Soul Speaks 5D. She says, I don't know. She says, I feel like the divine feminine jumped on an effing rocket and shot up in the stars, and her power is back. And I was like, whoa, wow, you know, That was it right there.
Oh, that's it. That
Yeah.
sums it up.
And it was in that childlike purity that she made this
Yeah,
statement. And then the whole show was like that. But so
yeah,
based on that, based on everything that I picked up on and watching what people are writing, this is what I was saying yesterday. I was like, okay. And I even told Morgan, I was like, wait a minute. There's been several times since 2015, you see a few women come out and they go, okay, we're home, we're in our power, da 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 da. I said, but this is different. This is like different. Like, this is the only time I've ever experienced a collective energy, and I knew it was collective, and that everybody got the same thing. Like sometimes it's like this person gets it and that person gets it, but this was like across the board. Like this was truly, you used to say game on.
yeah,
I think it's like game over. Like to me, the rocket ship metaphor, it's like you can't stop this now. It's
yeah.
done. It's like
It is.
energetically, it's done. So,
And it has tried to be stopped.
oh yeah,
There's been a huge, massive interference of trying to lower the energetics of of that divine feminine coming in to their sovereignty, which is an energetic field. And this is the difference is we've witnessed sort of with politics and all over the planet, a perceived power of the feminine. Okay. But in truth, that was the ego playing the role of a perceived power. It wasn't actually true. This is the difference. It's an ability to stay in your field and speak and act and think, so that the thoughts that you have, we talk about being an example to everybody, but actually that here's the beauty is it's about being the greatest example to yourself within. So the thoughts that you have to be those thoughts to be the greatest example to you, and this is you standing in this energetic balanced field where you're able to utilize the influences of earth. You're then another day you might have to utilize the influences of fire and of air, and then another day. So you're using all of these elements, but you're using them in a balanced manner because you've balanced each of them. And that's really the ascension, is the balancing of the 4 cardinal points. It's very Gnostic, that's my journey, but it's the balancing of the 4 cardinal points, which takes you into the middle. And that middle point, the 0 point, the neutrality, is actually the heart space. It's love. So you can speak your truth, but from love. You can act, but you're acting from love. And that heart space is the ether. It's your connection, your eternal, infinite connection, which means you're then working with eternal energies, but here in the solid form on Gaia. You're doing it through the physical, through the human being. You don't have to meditate and go off here and there.
No,
you're doing it as you're
right.
living and breathing and walking and talking. That's right. The difference. There has to be recognized the difference between where we have been as the feminine, which is the feminine wanting the power, but actually being ego-based power.
Yeah.
And with that comes the control. But with the emergence of the divine feminine, there's no desire to control whatsoever. That you're just being what you've evolved into, and that's an energetic frequency. And if you imagine that all over the planet, it's like lights going on everywhere. And then the divine masculine are right behind. They'll be following up, and then their lights go on, and this is the golden era.
I was talking to Shakina yesterday. She was the last show, Shakina Rose. And, you know, she's been up there. I mean,
Yeah.
like, she's a fairy and I did all this and that, or a femme. And so she, you know, you're talking about somebody who went to Sedona, I think in 2009, you know, like 2008, 2009, and got the call, you know, went through the transformation and went to Sedona and works the land every day. And so she's totally dedicated, like, you know. And so I was really cool yesterday because we did 4 shows. You know, Laura Eisenhower was on. They were all very good shows, and then Shakina just went into like almost like preacher mode. She was just like, I've never seen her like that, and she
Wow.
was picking the same thing up. And she said, at one point, she said, "I love humanity. I am a human." You know, but it was just the way she said it. She's saying the same thing you did. She was saying, this is the best part. The fact that we're in the physical, this is the best part because we're going to be doing everything we do in dimension, but in this physical density,
Absolutely.
that's mind blowing. You
Yes.
know, so the fact
It's
that the
different.
feminine energy, which is mostly going to be the female incarnation, at least that's what you're going to see. I was watching them, they're stepping up.
Yes.
They're stepping up. And I can tell you that from my own experience, because it's been deep for me. I've been deep like the last 2 months, like you have. I mean, I've been like, you know, I do my work and it's not always easy, but I just, other times I'm, you know, I'm in self introspection. But the big thing was the masculine. So I kept getting called out under the carpet and they kept like, oh, you just don't get it. This is the goddess and there's still something attached to you that's not, you know. So I was like, okay, give it up, give it up, give it up, give it up. And so something happened about 5 days ago, again reflected in my individual journey, but as the individual goes, so goes a collective. Like you said, the masculine's coming. I can see it. I'm telling you, I can see it. I don't know what I do or what things I do energetically, but I know I'm like on the forefront. I have to be on the masculine, doing what the feminine's doing right now or just done. So last night was like the first time a situation arose from 5 days ago when I said, okay, I'm done. I even told Morgan, I'm done with that. You know, we're just going to have to, you know, I have to align with the pure goddess energy. This I know, but I don't know how to do it. So last night it happened. And it was so crazy because we were just basically laying in bed. We started to put our hands together and then we just started hugging and stuff. And then it just started happening. And it was so crazy because there was actually a physical download happening to me the entire time, to the point after about 20 or 30 minutes, I had to get out of bed. I had to go lay on the bathroom tile floor to balance myself and my equilibrium because I was going to throw up. I don't know if I was going to throw up. It sure felt like it. Or I was going to just shoot out of my body. But to me, I saw, I say her, I saw that goddess energy, and I'm talking, you know, all the way around. And I actually embodied, I guess, the masculine without distortion. And maybe not, maybe, you know, I'm not going to go walk on water now, but I got there. And it's like the third time, but this time was huge because I'm telling you, you get downloads, you know, and I was actually getting downloads. And like you said earlier, we don't have to know what they are, but they were coming so fast. I knew what they were. They were pictures, right? Boom, 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 boom. But I couldn't tell you what they were at this point.
Actually, I can't remember time now. Okay, but I think it was 2 or 3 weeks ago on the tour, and there was a reboot of the divine masculine energy. It was a reboot, and I didn't know there was going to be a reset. It was a reset in order for the divine masculine to then go forward. Okay, so it was like an assistance to the divine, to the masculine. but I didn't know that until I knew that. But prior to it, going up to the tour, I saw the resistance, and it was like the last stand of the divine masculine.
Right.
I mean, I nearly got physically attacked for collecting water from the White Springs by a guy.
Really?
Who I didn't know. Yeah.
That's a physical representation of the energetic, right?
Yeah, and then when I was actually on the tour, there was another guy came up and was swearing, and the energies weren't good. But then what happened was the reset happened, and so there's always this counterbalance that you can watch out for before any potential shift. There is always this resistance from the darker energies to interfere with it.
Yeah.
And it's always a massive resistance, and it's designed to lower the person so that they don't shift up.
Yeah.
And so I witnessed this was for collective, not, is this final last stand of the dark energies that we could say associated with the divine, with the masculine. But it didn't work because it was rebooted on the tour about half an hour later.
That was what, Sunday?
It was a couple of Sundays ago.
Okay,
I can't remember which week.
Yeah.
But what that let me see was the previous week to that, there was a reboot of the divine of the divine feminine. And I don't think in my head in terms of divine feminine and masculine. I always think in terms of magnetic and electric, but it's the same
that's more accurate.
The same stuff. It's the same understanding. And I knew intuitively I had to wear red. And this other lady that, a sister of mine, she came and drove an hour and a half to be there, and she knew she had to wear red, and she didn't know, and I didn't know. We were just following our inner guidance. But it actually was a reset for the divine feminine 1 week before. So there's these energies that are coming in every week. But I've kind of gone off track. But the beauty is that it is a different state of being. And what you were saying about Shekinah and never having sort of heard her speak that way before, I actually know internally my change. And there's such a power and a strength within me that is not afraid to speak now. Whereas my journey in my life was, I was, taught as a child, I wasn't allowed to speak. If I had a different opinion to people, I was told not to say it. I was not, and if I did, I'd get slapped, or so, or go without food or things like that. So I was actually the suppressed speaker all my life, and I carried that through to last year. I've had to learn to use my voice, and that has been the integration for me. If we go back to the 4 cardinal points, I never had the fire. I never had it. I lost my temper when I was about 42 for the first time, and I didn't know what the heck to do with it.
You're lucky you didn't end up in prison. You might have hurt somebody.
But it's all about integrating each of us, because they all have these cardinal points, have influences over how we are, how we react, how we think. And once we balance each of them and accept them as ours instead of running away from them, integrating them, then we can, once we've accepted, we can then work on balancing them. And we do this by falling over and going flat on our face and mucking up, and but it's the only way we seem to learn is by the experiences we each have.
Yeah, that's true.
None of it, this ascension experiences is designed to harm. None of it is. None of it is. At the higher level, it's designed with love to empower the human being. And what Shekinah is saying is absolutely I resonate with about it. It's not just about finding the voice, it's having, you then have this field, this sovereignty that allows you to speak. You don't have to have the courage to speak anymore. You just can speak.
Yeah.
But being in this center point means that we become the divine, and we're already doing it. It's already happening right now, and it has been for a couple of weeks, but we're able to be the divine alchemists. So we're able to bring the energies in, work with the energies, with this physical vessel, like Shakina's saying.
Yeah.
And that's the difference, is it's our bodies and it's our minds sort of getting out of the way at that point. It's our consciousness being able to bridge with the higher planes and bring it into the solid reality. And that's the exciting part. It's coming into, we're bringing it, lots and lots of people are bringing it into the solid realm.
Yeah.
And that is the new direction.
Yeah. You know, yeah, there's so many things you bring up there, but like, so you're right. It is electromagnetic, or, you know, energetic. You know, it's hard to talk about it because of the masculine, feminine connotation that goes with the human language. But somebody made a comment earlier after I was talking, and she said, because I said I actually saw a glimpse of what this undistorted masculine is. And she said, you were probably feeling your feminine too. I was. And I remember distinctly that last night. I was going, oh, wow. Like, I know I'm her. It was weird. But the other thing I was going to say too is, like, you know, this, you can't deny this. I mean, there's too many stepping up right now, and they're all saying the same thing. They're all saying what you're saying. Many of them have had the same type of pattern in their life because they were super sensitive empath. So they felt everything. So they just shut up. You know what I mean? Morgan was the same way, you know, and so many of the other ones are the same way. And then the other thing they're saying is, and I just saw this over the last week, and they're like going, and the masculine's going through some stuff. Like there's a lot of men, not the masculine, there's a lot of men struggling right now, really struggling, which kind of fits, you know, as that electromagnetic that we call the feminine rose and took that ground and holds that ground. So now that the others can see, hey, I can get there. But this is, look, I see it in my work. You know, I don't talk to a lot of people, but obviously I have a lot of contemporaries, you know, people that I collaborate with. I get a lot of messages, and I'm watching the distorted masculine do what you said. The distorted masculine have its last stand. I'm watching these, mostly men, but not all men. I'm watching them have to be right, competition, loud, still not subrogating to the woman, to the undistorted electromagnetic. All right. Whether that, okay. So, and I'm watching it, I'm like, and I'm watching it for me. And I'm like going, okay, are you doing that? Are you doing that? So I just try to say nothing, go on, do the show, and I'm out of here. But yeah. I think you're right about the fact that this is done. This part is done. And it's being represented in the physical by a lot of women stepping up into their power, not being afraid to speak. And I've had several of them tell me over the last 2-3 weeks on the show, you know, quieter ones that haven't been on or haven't been out there as much, and they're saying, I'm being told to step up, and I'm doing it. Like, it's time. It's not game on, it's game over. She's done.
Yeah, there is quite a, it might feel, or it might be perceived as subtle at the moment, but it won't be
Yeah.
subtle.
Mm.
As in, there's a subtle difference between the feminine that speaks from the old programmed
Yeah.
mind that is in their ego. So they're speaking in an imbalanced manner, as opposed to the new, which is the divine feminine that has done the work, that has balanced the cardinal points, that has balanced the masculine and the feminine energy within their own field, that has balanced the left and the right hemispheres of the brain. And this is what happens when we awaken. The pulses go, you know, it's bridging. So there's all sorts of balancing that goes on our each of and everybody's ascension path. We all go through the same balancing up, and whether we're in a female body or a male body, we still all go through that balancing up of the masculine energy and the feminine energy. And the way I see the masculine and the feminine is just my way of my path, is that they're qualities, they're energetic qualities, that the masculine energy has these essences that allow for certain performances, certain tasks, certain abilities, qualities. And then the feminine energy has these, you know, like receiving qualities, nurturing qualities. But it's about the integration of them all into the one. And then there's no this and that. It's that beautiful end of polarity when all of that has been balanced and they're in the center 0 point, when the masculine and feminine has been balanced, when the brain has been balanced, the mental body, the physical body. It brings everything into just one. And then it's what it, and that is the unity, if you like, within the physical humanness. And we transcend out of the duality of the humanness that we've all experienced.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Makes total sense. It's very well explained. And I don't know what that's going to look like, but I know that there's something to this, the human part. And I know I've said the human is a hero for a long time, but everything in this ascension takes on a deeper and deeper meaning, or gets revealed for the bullshit that it is. Okay. So another thing that I've noticed is, and I'm not criticizing anybody at all, I'm just making an observation from the chair I sit in, and that is these stories, the history, the lineage, earth and otherwise, it's part of us. There's no doubt it's part of us, but it's not us. So I'm starting to see people either let go or make a stand. So, you know, some of them are saying, okay, I've got ties to Atlantis, Lemuria, Sirius, Avalon, you know, all the different things, right? And they're starting to let go of it and say, I am soul. I am the human. The human is the hero. It's about the human, because the human is all of those things plus the human. So the story's not over yet. It's like Akashic plus the experience equals what? Because the transformation's happening, you know, I mean, equals what? This is the new history. And I guess where I'm going with it is, it was so cool to hear what Shakina said, what you're saying, what you've been writing about, actually, because I've been watching what you're writing. And and really, you're saying the same thing. Look, I'm not going anywhere, right? I may be tied to this galactic or that angelic or this or that, but I am a human, a divine human. And we're going to do something here that's never been done. Absolutely. Which has nothing to do with Atlantis anymore, Lemuria, Syria, none of that stuff. All that stuff is with us. It'll never go. It's part of us. It's all inside of us. But what we're about to do is going to infect in a good way, the entire universe, the entire multiverse contained within us. We are going to bring Pleiadian and Anunnaki in alignment. We're going to bring all polarities in alignment. This is Goddess work. This is God's work. And we are the living word.
Mm.
You know, I hate to sound religious, but we are the living, we are everything. We are the game and the God. You know, we're both. It's amazing. And that's what I'm hearing. That's what I'm seeing from people. They're letting go of these over identifications and attachments to modalities, processes, lineages, and things they've learned in the ethers that were absolutely and are true, but they don't apply to everybody. The only thing that applies to everybody is that we all came and that we're all actually going through this experience. And we all know that it was challenging, and you can't take that away from anybody. You know?
Yeah. I mean, I really agree. I see it just from my perspective, which is everybody's got their own. So it's just mine, and I'm not asking anybody to agree with me at all. It's good just to have your own, but I feel that everything that has been written has served its purpose. Everything has brought us to this point now. Does that mean we hang on and get attached to what has been, you know, the past, what has been written in the past? I think everything was the way my perspective is, and people may not resonate with this, and that's perfectly fine, but it's got me, it's allowed me to stay detached all the way through my awakening. Is that I feel every single one of us, when we agreed to come down here, we all had, because I was shown we have a crystalline program that runs, and it's almost like, okay, for you, this will be your influence that helps you to awaken. And for you, this will be your influence and your data, your storyline to help you awaken. And so this is why, you know, some people get quite hooked in to, say, Mary Magdalene or Jesus or Buddha, or they can get completely hooked in to the stories, but they're an assistance. That's what they are, because the human has the choice and the human has the free will here. It's not them doing it, they are us anyway. They're supporting, but it's not for us to give our power away, because then, you know, if you believe everything's equal and everybody is equal, then there isn't a hierarchy. There isn't anybody above you. If you believe that you're a facet of God, then everything is a facet of God. It's all one. So people can get attached to figures, and there's nothing wrong with that, but that figure isn't going to do the work for you.
No.
You're going to do the work for you, and you're going to do it through your human beingness of being prepared to look at your stuff, to take ownership, to take responsibility for the whole of your reality that gets given to you by you. And that's how you empower. We don't empower through other beings. They're almost watching the show and cheering us on.
They're like
you know,
they're like shamans, you know. Shamans, and what I mean, like, they're like shaman energy, which is what? Did shaman energy just walk up to you and say, here's a cup of wisdom? No, they don't do that. You get set up. You get set up, and you fall on your ass, or you get embarrassed, or you learn that way, like you said earlier, which is really relevant. It's only to the experience. I mean, that may be why the human is such a valuable energetic commodity, because of its stubbornness. You can't tell me anything. I'm going to go do it. And how many times have our parents done that to us, or we did it to our kids and say, okay, well, go find out for yourself. Boom. But Yeah. So, I mean,
Information, you know, say
yeah,
like the information, because I have influences. There are influences that have been there for me through
yeah,
my awakening, but I don't ever go to them. They will come to me and say, Mandy, you need to know this.
yeah,
But the various influences, I
yeah,
don't give my focus to them. I give it to the embodiment of this human being. And it's only by we don't, let's put it this way, whatever information we read is that it's information
yeah.
that we're reading and putting into our brain to perhaps retain it. We just because we've read it doesn't make us that. We
That's
have
right.
to become that, and that's our process. That's our humanness. That's us falling over, making what we feel are mistakes. There aren't any mistakes in truth, but they can feel to the human being in forgetfulness that we're making mistakes and cock-ups, etc. But it's the only way, unfortunately, we seem to learn. We could learn through happy experiences as well, Todd, if we bothered to look as to,
Yeah,
oh, why am I happy now? Oh, I'm happy now because my ego's just gone. Okay, we could learn that our ego's just gone massive and that makes us happy and satisfied, but we don't. When we're happy, we're just glad we're happy and we don't look.
yeah,
So we learn by falling over, by being hurt,
yeah.
um, through those difficult experiences.
Well, hopefully we're not going through, and you did say that at the beginning of the show, like we're recognizing things now up
Oh
front.
yeah.
I mean, we all have things that speak to us, you know, that like, okay, it's coming now. Like I can tell you in my life, I know when something's coming. If I don't know it, it's most of the time it's because I see it in her. Like, oh, something's coming. Whether I
Mm.
say anything to her or not, I know. I'm like, okay, be on your toes. And it's gotten easier and easier. You know, and you're right. There's certain, look, I spent, 24 hours with Merlin 2 days ago. So it's not like I don't, you know what I mean? I understand what you're saying. What comes, comes. We can't understand all of this. But everything to me that is a download or a visitation or anything is that code. It is comes to you for a reason. No different than me walking down the street and a black cat crosses my path or a bird swoops in front of me. There's a message. There's something going on there. But also everything such as that, if not everything, period, is a potential program. And a
Mm.
program to me is anything you give your power away to. That's not the program's fault. That's your choice.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
this is what you're saying. So what's the difference between this and a relationship or this and a job, or, like I love doing what I do. If I didn't like doing what I'm doing, I wouldn't do it. you know,
Yeah.
I get up sometimes. I'm like, I didn't, I was half thinking, I got up this morning. I'm like, Morgan, is Amanda going on? I was kind of hoping she'd say no because I'm going to go back to bed. I was like, I don't feel good. I'm all discombobulated. I'm
Yeah.
trying to like take all this stuff in. But
We are sort of choosing. The the thing to help empower anybody is to realize that you're choosing in each moment what to give your energy to.
yes.
You're always choosing, and so
Yeah.
be the observer of you and what you're choosing to give your energy to. And that can just be you're on your own and you're in these thoughts and the thoughts are going zzz, like this. You're choosing to give your energy to those thoughts.
Yeah.
This is what we master, and so that we master choice, so that we become responsible citizens on the planet for the choices we're actually making,
Yeah.
because we are creating the whole of this reality ourselves, and we have to become responsible, which means taking ownership for the choices we're making in here that then materialize out there. Everything in the dream is from your higher self, placing that in your dream for you to grow,
Yeah.
for you to grow, for you to see how you react to it. And then it's like you say, then you see that you're in a program. You've got this program running. That's why you reacted this way. If you don't get triggered, you're not running a program. You're actually in your 0 point.
Yeah. True.
But if you
Yeah.
get triggered, then that's a beautiful gift to say,
Yeah.
okay, I just got triggered then. Why did I get triggered?
Yes.
Then go into that detail of why. Okay, let's go down that through the years, decades, childhood, teenage, and see what program you're running, because it's your program.
Yeah.
It's not theirs, the one that's triggered you. It's yours. And until we take responsibility, we're not going to be the divine alchemists, because we can't handle the responsibility.
You can't
We want
make
to
the
blame it
choice.
outside,
Yeah. You know, it's like being in a relationship if it was one person, right? One and so
Yeah,
like
yeah,
as a man in my old relationships, I always hated this. I hated two things. One, honey, how does this look? Because you're screwed no matter what you say as a man. This is the old paradigm. And the other one is, where do you want to go eat tonight? Oh, I don't know. You decide. You know, like no, I don't want to decide, because it's like I make the decision, I take the pain, right? But I'm not the one making the choice. That person was making the choice to give me the choice, which is kind of like spiritual bypassing. So it's like, then I
yeah,
make the choice, and now that person's going to complain because
yeah.
of the choice she gave me permission to make. Now I'm using a funny old antidote from old relationships in the old paradigm, but what you said is so true. And to me, it's like the PhD level of the ascension path. And although it's very simple and it sounds, and it is, and it doesn't seem all woo woo and you know complex, it's really pretty simple.
It's like,
You make the choices,
hmm,
and you know, in Todd's words, you make the choices, don't bitch. Like
yeah.
no one's making any of these choices for you. You're making these choices, period. And there's no victim. So
We're really doing, Todd, and this applies to every single human being on the planet without exception, is we have not really been aware that we create our reality,
true.
that our higher self is placing all of these people in our life. We're not aware that we're creating it. We think we're the victim of it sometimes, perhaps, I don't know. But therefore, we haven't taken responsibility for it. So we've blamed the outside. Where we're headed, this, 5D and above, we are the masters of our creation. So we've got to learn how it works. And that's what we're doing here, and through the inner work and the reflection back to ourselves, so that we can see our own darkness and accept our own darkness, accept all of it, and integrate it all into 0 point. But
Yeah.
it's almost like, if you made a casserole or a pan of stew, and you put all these wonderful ingredients in it, and you eat it, and then you don't want any more, you've had enough of it. And if I chucked it out the window right now because I've had enough of it, I don't want no more, chuck it out the window. And then a month later I complain because I've got rats under my caravan. That's what I'm talking about. It's
Yeah.
responsible creation.
Yes.
That's an idea of, by throwing it out, by discarding it, by
Yeah.
not giving it responsible awareness, I'm actually the creator of the rats come in under my caravan a month later. But a month later, because we experience through time, I'm not going to think, oh, well, that's because I threw the casserole out the window a month ago. No, I'll go, meh, 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 meh. I've got rats under my caravan now. And actually, it was my doing.
That's right.
Take responsibility. This is
That's right.
each of our creations. And
And I
that's what
think,
we're
yeah.
learning. And it's not easy for anybody, but we're all
No,
doing it. We're
no,
all
but
in the same boat.
well, I mean, but, you know, if there is, and there is, if there is an energy, call it whatever you want, that is anchoring into the earth, that is going to say what it's going to say from love always, but pull no punches, you know, and be straight, then that's going to affect everything. And because the other side of that is, oh, I'm going to be with you in any situation, like say a collaboration or a relationship or whatever. And I'm going to say, okay, Mandy, you decide where we're going to go eat. Right. So that's the other way it happens. That's what I was saying earlier. So we give it to somebody else. They go make the decision. Now that person could be the priest. It could be the mayor, the governor, the president, the prime minister, whatever, and we hand it to them and say, you make the choice.
Yes.
I elected you. You make the choice. And now they're going to make the choice. And we're going to say, oh, wait a minute, we've got to rebel. So Sandra Walter, I got her, newsletter today. And I'm going to ask her about it tomorrow when she comes on. But she talked about 3 things. She talked about forgiveness, clemency, and something else. And it was just the theme of the newsletter. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. And because I think a lot of people are struggling with this right now. And I believe they're going to struggle with this because of the stuff that's going to be disclosed. And there's going to be a lynch mob mentality. There's going to be anger, and it's all understandable. But we are here to get to a certain point, to transcend to a certain point. So what she said was that remember that in the higher realms where we all have organized this, certain people have agreed to play certain roles. And that comes with a price. But there is a universal clemency. And to keep that in mind, and that means that at any time when a soul decides, I'm going to give what we've done, what we've all done here, I'm going to throw my free will in alignment with universal will, I'm going to serve, the collective, that there's instant, beyond forgiveness, there's instant clemency. So there was a couple of points. One is that everybody's playing a role, and to keep that in mind, because we're not just human, we're divine human. That means everything that we've ever done in any incarnation on planet or off planet, that code is with us. So now we can actually be the most incredible thing the universe has ever created up to this point. So that's part of us. But but the days of saying, well, I'm only human, or they should have known better, that's not going to fly. And,
I agree with what you've just said that Sandra's written. I did a live probably about a year ago on, I've done one, which is on my wall, by the way, about forgiveness, and actually the higher truth of what we perceive to be forgiveness, because that is a belief system as well.
True.
But at the higher level, you'd need to watch the video rather than me just say. But also the what we call contracts with souls. This is where we can all, each and every one of us, reach a state of compassion for every single person, no matter what they've said to us, done to us, whether they've hurt us, whether they've hurt humanity, no matter what they've done. You are, and everybody is able to reach a state of compassion. When you think and imagine those higher realms that Sandra's talking about, and imagine the souls. And this soul over here says, in order for you to rise out of your forgetfulness and remember what you are, I will volunteer to play this role for you.
Yeah.
I mean, that could make me cry, because look at the degree of love. And that is pure unconditional love. This soul has volunteered to be that opposite, to be that darkness, to be the one that causes this human in forgetfulness, because it is only forgetfulness, the pain, the upset, the anger, the torment. That's how much this soul loves you.
Yeah.
And in this realm, I actually embodied something yesterday, and it was just beautiful, all to do with unconditional love. And when you can see, we're in this realm of forgetfulness, but when you can see past the human,
Wow.
Sorry, that's the geese.
Oh my God, that's great.
When you can see past the human that is or that you feel is the cause of the problem or the pain or the anger, etc., when you can see past that and just see their soul, all you're going to have for them is love.
Yeah.
It's only the human personality, this overlay, it's only the personality that is blaming this and blaming that. That personality is not who you are. You are soul.
That's right.
You're not the personality, and everybody evolves to the point where they know they're not the personality. They know that that's an identity given to you in order for you to have a very unique experience. You know, that's the personality that allows for the individual experience. But when somebody can upset me, if I see their soul, I cannot have anything other than pure love for them.
Yes.
They are in their humanness. They're actually in forgetfulness when they're projecting at me or blaming me.
That's right.
They're actually in their own forgetfulness, and I can see that, but then I can see their soul and just give love and kindness. See beyond the human, because we're all of it.
Yeah.
We're all of it.
God, I'm sitting here talking to you, and I already told you last night was mind blowing, consciously mind blowing. Until then I go to sleep, and I in these lucid dreams, a lot of people talked about their lucid dreams. They're remembering more. They're more in depth, and so on. But I remember having this reality. It was not a lucid dream. It's a reality, right? Whatever. And in the dream, this was last night. In the dream, it was explaining to me kind of our journey, or maybe my lineage, or the journey that where we've come from, right? So there was this part, and it wasn't me talking. There was a friend talking, and it was very much interdimensional. And there were some dark characters, let's just say, dark characters playing the bad actors, whatever. And we were basically prisoners. And this guy had the biggest, we were about to be executed. And this guy has the biggest grin on his face because he gets it all up here, right? And I said, what are you doing? I wasn't scared. Like, I knew what was going on, but this guy was showing me something. Maybe it was me showing me something. I don't know. And he had the biggest grin on his face. And he basically said to the oppressors, I love you. And I'm happy. Like I can't even explain what it did to me. But as I'm listening to you talk,
I get that completely.
I realize that what you're talking about that you just embodied, I think a part of what's happening is many people are starting to do that. Because I know that happened to me about 5 days ago. And I thought it was kind of strange because I do pull people up in front of me and say, okay, how do I feel about, I don't want to name any names, but family or whatever. And I noticed that day they started popping up, and I felt nothing but like the guy in the lucid dream, just a big smile on my face. I love you. And all the stuff that had happened to me as a result of these people was played right along with it. And I'm wondering, that must be a sign of a collective transcendence, crossing a certain threshold.
Yes. And absolutely, Todd. Thank you for sharing that about your experience, because I'm actually living that now, but only in the last 2 days, where it doesn't matter what anyone might say to me, do to me, think of me. I know the degree of forgetfulness by my own example that I descended into. I can only have love. I can't react anymore, but this is only in the last 2 days. I can't react from pain anymore or hurt anymore, because all I have is love for the soul that
Yeah.
agreed to come into this experience to do their job and their role. And everybody's got their role. And they're in this forgetfulness, which
Yeah.
actually causes them pain.
Yeah.
The pain on this planet per human being, and all it is the forgetfulness, because once we all transmute that pain, that's when we have this golden era, which is what we're all wanting. We're all desiring to live in a peace, harmony, fun, play,
Yeah.
creation that doesn't actually harm anyone. So I've always loved everyone. Even as a child, as a 6-year-old, I've always loved every single being on the planet. But now it's gone into this different degree of love, where I can no longer be hurt by anybody's actions, because I'm seeing beyond that. I'm not blinded by their actions, and I'm not blinded by myself. I know what it is to forget. I've been there, I've done it, and it takes love to unconditional love, where you love regardless, and it does not matter how a person behaves. And when I say that, it doesn't matter how they behave, because you love them anyway. But I want to just emphasize, because that can get confusing for people, you still then have a choice.
That's right.
So the whole of this game that we're all in is actually, if you put it down to its simplest form, it's about us making a choice, and then a choice, and then a choice, and then a choice, and that creates our reality.
Yeah.
So making a choice, as we go through and on our path, we actually start to take more and more responsibility for the choices we make.
Yeah.
Choices of thoughts. And so we get to choose whether to entertain that, whether to give that energy over there, or whether to not give that energy over there, but to put our energy over here.
Yeah.
We're always, it's a paradigm of choice, of human choice.
That's
And
right.
once we start to realize that we're the creators of our reality, we start to take responsibility for the choices we make, which means if I was to put up with XYZ forevermore, I'm choosing that. So
That's
guess
right.
what? I'm going to get more of it, because I'm actually saying, yes, that's fine. But if I choose from love, okay, from love, I can let this go and this go, because I'd like to give my energy here and here and here. I'm actually doing it in a non-harmful way. I'm being responsible. So I'm not tipping the casserole out the window and letting the rats come. I'm actually deciding to perhaps give that casserole to somebody else, or feed the goats with it, or whatever. It's about being aware of your choices and the impact your choices make, because each of us are connected.
That's right.
We're all actually completely and utterly energetically connected. And so what we do to ourselves, we do to everybody. And what people
It's true.
do,
And it's not a cliche. And if you're hurting yourself by the choices that you make, and you continue to allow that, that's what you're going to put out there. You know, if you have say 15% maligned, you know, you're going to have a frequency that's 15% maligning, you know. So yeah, I like this, what we talked about at the top of the show. It is your choice, and don't blame anybody because it's your choice. And if you want to hand your choice over to someone else, then that's your choice. But whatever choice they make, you got to live with, because you gave it to them. So when I look at this stuff like vaccination or anything else, You know, I remember going back 8, 9 years ago and I kept being told, or I kept writing, I will die for the truth. And people are like, well, why are you saying something so morbid? I'm like, I don't know. I'm just told this is what I'm supposed to do. But this is what I'm talking about. It's not, look, we've all shed a lot this year and we've died many times. But now we know dying's an energetic detachment or a surrender or an embrace, whatever. It's not a physical thing, you know? So we can do that. And that goes back to that lucid dream I was telling you about, because that's the kind of energy that the guy had. It was like, I'm soul. I'm not, what can you do to me, man? I'm all love. I'm all heart. And I love you. And, you know, even though you got a big
Yeah.
axe in your hand, you're going to chop my head off. That's okay. And I was like, whoa, like, you know, shaman. Like that's a, you
Yeah.
know,
You
that's
know
like,
what, Todd? Yeah, I love what you said. I really do, because I resonate with experiences I've had. Is when we get too much into the human, we can take it all too seriously.
mm-hmm,
Because and I don't say that in a condescending way. What I mean is, outside of this field that is, you know, blocked, we've experienced the block of what we all truly are and how we are all connected. Beyond that, it isn't serious. There isn't the suffering, you know, it, it doesn't exist. So it's a more playful universe, but it's a responsible playful
yeah,
universe.
yeah, yeah. I think we're getting there. Hey, so like based on this discussion and based on the things that are, this is why I love doing what I do, because like we just talked and others too, but I mean, this conversation this morning's perfect timing. Uh, I saw Sandra's article. Somebody put up, and thank you, whoever that was, that the third thing she was talking about, she calls divine neutrality. So it's
Oh, wow.
okay. So anyway, but like based on what we just talked about, and the fact that everybody that this energy is being anchored in, which we talked about it as the divine feminine, or the, call it magnetic, or whatever the case is, whatever that is, whatever that sovereignty frequency or additional sovereignty frequencies are, standing up for what you're standing up for, the truth, speaking the truth, not feeling fearful in regard to, you know, and all that stuff. Like I'm looking at this, you know, people talking 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. I don't buy it. I really don't buy it. I don't care how many people supposedly are asleep. I'm not buying it. I think this thing can flip, you know, just overnight. Certainly it can do that, and it is doing that in people's lives. And for every person that does that, like even what you're talking about, what you just embodied a couple of days ago, like that, anytime someone does that, they're anchoring that. So
Yes,
how many people are doing that, and
yes,
how fast does that energy go? I
yes.
think it goes very fast.
Yeah, and whoever, you know, somebody else is anchoring or embodying another quality over there in the
Mm.
world, and once that's landed
Mm-hmm.
into the human, it's then a, you know, a solid reality. So we're creating that. But I know last September 2019, I was shown, or had a quite a long conversation with an energy,
Mm.
um, to show me what would unfold for me, to ensure I was ready for it. In other words, do I really know what I was letting myself in for? Are you prepared for this? Are you prepared? Do you wear, you know, it went on for quite a while. Uh, it was a choice point, you know. Now, everything that energy has told me has happened, except one thing,
Mm.
which is to do with what you've just said. So we embody and embody and embody and embody. We become more and more energy. It unfolds a step at a time, doesn't it, Todd? This
Yeah.
is what we're used to.
Yeah.
But what the energy told me was that carries on, and you embody more and more of your higher self, more and more of your abilities, blah, blah, blah. But then there comes a leap, a sudden flashpoint.
Yeah.
And what he said actually corresponds to visions I've had, which is that there's an instant.
Yeah.
There's an instant. And I'm not saying everybody experiences the same experience of that instant moment. But that, to me, that instant moment is the one-off frequency that comes from the sun, which is a one-off,
Yeah.
only happens once, unprecedented energetic frequency that comes from the sun. And it affects, I mean, it affects everything anyway, but it's because of the high frequency that it is, it changes everything like that. And I'm not saying everybody has the same experience, because they don't. They have their experience of it,
Yeah.
depending on their path, what their soul has chosen for them. So it'll be experienced in different degrees, but will it be life-changing for many people? In my, opinion, which is only my perception, yes.
I think so.
And I can only trust that because everything has played out that way so far.
Yeah, and it's so hard to like try to figure out how does that happen and say, oh well, I'll take the linear out of it. So then you take the linear out of it, you say, well, yeah, it happens all at the same time, but we're like in the middle there somewhere, and but it's kind of like, so any person that gets to that point, it's almost like they're, with what we know of this shared experience that we have of the world. So that's like the backdrop. But a person that does that, it's like an untouchable. Energetically, they're untouchable. You know what I mean? I mean, it's like their field will not be penetrated by these things that were distorted and that directed us because we did choose to follow them. We just didn't know, like you said earlier, we didn't know how that affected our creation. We thought something else was in charge, but now we know. So yeah, this is,
I will say that ultimately, this is my knowing because of my path, etc. Is it? It's just my perception anyway. Is that ultimately we can't be penetrated, but it doesn't stop them trying.
No.
And so what it's very clever actually. It's very, the way they try, because they know certain people on the planet, they don't hold any fear. So dark energies can't actually affect them because they don't hold the fear. So what they do is they go indirect. So they'll take a person that's in your life, use them, implant thoughts, and they don't go in and stay. They just go in, drop the thoughts in, and then get out. And then that person that you're close to perhaps is then used. And this is the sad part of how things do work. They're then used in their vulnerability because there's a weak link in there that they can penetrate in to get at the people that are the high frequencies. So they try an indirect route because they can't go head to head because it just won't work. You have to have fear to be affected by them. And if you haven't got that fear, it's not going to work. Ultimately, they can only try and lower a person's frequency, which would slow down their ascension.
Try to catch you on a bad day, basically.
But it's there and it's here now. It's we do have to use our discernment because it isn't always that it comes direct. It won't come direct if you're a high frequency, because it doesn't work. It'll come via somebody. And
and it seems like when these big things happen, that stuff comes around. That's what happened to me 2 nights ago with Merlin. And then this stuff came in. And what I used to do when I was on the streets, when I first woke up, I would deal with that stuff head on. Like if they wanted to take me to the pits of hell, literally, I would go and I would stand there with them. And I wouldn't recommend this to anybody, but, and until it broke, and that's what happened the other night, 2 nights ago. So I had the whole day with Merlin, all that stuff was coming in. And then right when I'm about to go to bed, this stuff comes in. I'm like,
Yeah.
F that. I'm going to go right with it.
Yeah.
But it had something to do with, I feel like it had something to do. It was actually being released. Is what I think the difference was, and I think that's maybe what happens when these energies come in. Maybe
I just like, I call it interference.
Yeah.
So there are the energies that are trying to stop this happening on the grand scale. Yes, but they can't stop it. They can only try their best to delay it, and the only way they can try their best to delay it is if they try and lower a person's energetic frequency, because it's the increase in our frequency that raises us, that allows us to.
But just remember what our friend said when I said, "What the hell's going on?" She said, "The divine feminine jumped on an effing rocket and shot up into the stars, and she's in her power." Well,
Yes, yeah.
I know it's a funny metaphor, but this one, I think one of the things that has changed over the last 3-4 days. That's absolutely true. And we see the evidence of the resistance, of the interference, the distortion through our whole lives. And we've seen how it's kind of tapered off a little bit slowly. But I think after these last 3-4 days, the rocket, the faucet's on, the tsunami, the waterfall, boom, the fire hose, it's on, the rocket.
I would say, the eagle has landed, that's it. No, the eagle has landed. And, I appreciate completely and understand completely. Some people might be watching this and go, well, no, it hasn't, because of this, that, and the other. No, just wait, because it's dominoes effect.
Yeah, that's right.
Just have faith in your own path, and just watch and observe. And it does happen, unfortunately, in this area of time. It happens a piece at a time. But it's through people's physical embodiment experiences that it's just when what happens to one, it happens to the next, and then it's boom, 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 out. And we are the divine feminine has landed on the planet.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's huge. It's a massive impact.
Well, like I said, you used to say game on, and I'm saying no, it's game over. It's like it's not even game on. It's like game's over.
You're right.
It is. I mean, so even those, I mean, this is, the other thing that amazes me too, that I picked up on, I would say over about the last 2 weeks, and that is the comments. Now we never really get trolls and all that stuff, but I do watch the comments, and the level of self-empowerment and faith in divine human that I'm seeing in the comments over the last 2 weeks has shifted up. I mean, it's absolutely shifted up. I don't see hardly any victim consciousness, and we're talking about hundreds and hundreds of thousands of comments on these shows. And I'm seeing something. So that's a great sign. And a lot of these comments are from people you've never seen out there, which I think is another thing that's going to change. I think they're going to start stepping up one by one. So,
I've actually noticed that as well on my wall, Todd, is if I go back, say, 2 years, there would be, because of people's stages of their path, but a lot of victim consciousness.
Of course.
And a lot of, not intentionally, they didn't do it intentionally. It was just unawareness of what I'd call moaning about symptoms, etc. Now, that if we moan about anything, we're putting that energy out into the collective consciousness of humanity. So we're not contributing a high frequency, we're contributing a lower frequency. And we just have to think of the beehive effect, and we become responsible for the thoughts and the words and the actions, because we are all part of each other. And but I don't know for how long, quite a good while, the positivity and the support, the comments have changed, and it's kind of, that's gone away, and people are high vibe, or that they might explain an experience that's not pleasant, but they'll end it on a positive note.
Yeah.
So they can almost see, oh, I'm going down here, but no, actually, this is what's happening.
Yeah.
They're becoming far more aware. We all are, all of us.
Yeah. And that's obvious from the comments. Yeah.
Mm.
So, you got anything coming up? You got anything that you? I know you have the on Sunday. You have the tour. Okay.
Yeah, I'm actually behind the scenes. I'm starting to upload to YouTube all the Facebook videos. I'm also arranging to. I'll be creating it, but arranging to create my website. I've had to wait to find out 7.5 years. You know what I'd actually.
It's okay. I'm going on 9.
Yeah. Well, great. There's no rush.
The feminine has to go first, right? We've established that. So you've got to hurry up and do yours so that we can do ours over here.
I just believe in the divine order of things. So look,
see, there we go.
He agrees to.
If it involves birds, it's not a coincidence. Okay, I'm just letting you know.
No, it's not. And actually, Todd, I've got to tell you that because you've just said about birds. Yesterday, I got some key words from Gaia. This is from Matt reading, and she mentioned the birds. What did she say? Okay. The winged humans will remember levitation abilities.
The winged humans will remember levitation. And you know, that's weird because,
It is where we're headed. This is why if you have
I know. Yeah.
birds, it's actually you. It's actually you.
I know.
Yeah.
I always knew. I mean, the first galactic thing I ever received was even before I met Morgan. It was the blue avians, and I should have known I had a bird lineage because of how skinny my legs are from the knees down. But I'm kidding. And so yesterday you just reminded me of something. So a lot of times I'll see higher self, different third eye stuff as I'm doing these shows, and like Shakina, I've done a lot of shows like I have with you, and. Anyway, the whole time I was talking to her, I could see these wings out of the back of her shoulder. And I kept looking at it thinking, is that going to go away? And then at the end of the show, I finally told her, I said, I keep seeing these wings all the whole time. And now you're saying this about the levitation thing. Yeah, bring it on, man. Yeah, all right. Well, I love you. Thank you for what you're doing. I'm happy that you're getting the website going. Don't rush. Just take your time with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're about to get back on ours 1st of June, so we're going back to our
time. This is it. You know, even if you think there's a setback, which you know there isn't a setback. It's all actually perfectly orchestrated.
Absolutely.
So, yes.
Absolutely.
No stress.
Yeah. No, I'm not going to stress.
No,
I got stressed about the refrigerator, but that only lasted about 2 minutes, and I started laughing about it. All right. So we got Judith Cassell coming up in 25 minutes.
I'd love to join in the audience for that. That would be amazing. I know.
Oh yeah, she's incredible. She really, and she's been putting out a lot of stuff in the last month. I mean, just like
I've been reading.
She's.
But there's a few people, and she's one. She's absolutely bang on correct of the timeline and everything. And
she has had some incredible, well, she always has incredible intel, but I mean, over the last few weeks, she's just been like, I'm reading, I'm like, whoa, you know, it fits with a lot of like your stuff and Morgan's. I mean, it's just a different language, but
she knows, doesn't she? She just knows.
Yeah. And something always happens when she comes on too. So hopefully I won't be bawling my eyes out like the first time. Something always happens. All right. I love you.
I love you. Love to.
Okay. You take care. Thank you.